Hi there, good afternoon. Welcome to Iceland. This is Reykjavik, the capital city and largest city of Iceland, here on the North Atlantic Ocean. Clearly a replication of a whaling ship. Today is December 4th, 2021. It is currently about 2:45 in the afternoon and around 25 degrees Fahrenheit, or a few degrees below 0 Celsius. And the sun is just going along the edge of the horizon there. However, it will not set for a little while longer. It is essentially high noon right now because the sun rises late in the morning. It starts to get light between 10 and 11. And then it stays somewhat light until late in the afternoon. Between 4 and 5 it will get dark. So I'm going to walk over here to a skate park, and then from there cut in to the center of the town, the main tourist area. You can see the streets back there, where there is the main pedestrian walking street with all kinds of restaurants along it. Not very cheap restaurants. Iceland is notoriously expensive. It is the most expensive country that I have been to, tied with Switzerland. Not really sure which one is more expensive, but of the 78 countries I've been to, Iceland and Switzerland top the list. But it is a very unique place to visit with a lot to see all around the island country here, along the Arctic Circle, just barely. It does not actually go through the mainland island of Iceland, but it just goes through a little island called Grimsey, which is just north of the main country of Iceland here, and that island is part of Iceland. And so the Arctic Circle does just barely go through the country. So quite a long ways north here, about equidistant to the middle of Scandinavia or Alaska or northern Canada. And yet, despite the far north location, then it is not as cold as other places at around the same latitude. Because of the Gulf Stream, the currents that bring warmer waters from the Gulf of Mexico and the Caribbean and further south in the Atlantic, and they come swirling up here, and so that temperates the climate a little bit. Many places along the same latitude, this far north, would be way colder. 30 below zero, 40 below zero at this time, even though it is not technically winter yet, but might as well be with snow on the ground. But a beautiful sunny day that I wanted to take advantage of, because the forecast is showing rain tomorrow, warming up a little bit, and then more clouds and snow, a real mix. It just kind of bounces around between above freezing and below freezing, and so it can have very variable weather, and that is a big factor for me and my plans, which might not turn out to end up being quite the epic adventure that I had been hoping for, because this is my third time to Iceland. The first time was 5 years ago. I was only here for 5 days that time, and I was on a much stricter budget at the time and couldn't afford to do much, and so I left after 5 days, basically because I couldn't afford to stay any longer. That was also in the colder months in early November, so not quite as cold. But the second time was 3 years ago in January of 2019, and I had only 3 days left on my Schengen time allotment, which I will talk about more later in the video, because that will factor into some information I want to share about Iceland in general. But basically I only stayed for 3 days because I could only stay for 3 days in in Europe, because I've been in Europe for 3 months before that. And so, point being, I had never really done the true Iceland adventure of driving around the island with a rental car preferably, and really getting out there into the wild, into the strange exotic landscapes and beautiful waterfalls and geysers and all that. Now I have seen those because on both of my previous visits, then I did a day tour and saw the geysers and waterfalls and some of the villages and black sand beaches, but it is just not the same experience to just go on a day tour as renting a car and getting out there on your own. The problem is the weather and the variability, and I'm realizing that I might not want to take my chances of renting a car on my own and getting out there, and potential snowstorms. The roads can get just closed. Not to mention the driving conditions. Look at this right here. You know, this kind of ice, the roads are going to be a little better, but this is as good as it gets at this time of year because it is a sunny day. There is no real fresh snow. You aren't driving through snow, and yet because of recent rain, you have straight up ice here. And once you get out of Reykjavik and further north and farther away, then you just don't know what kind of conditions you're going to encounter. So basically, I am debating the options and going to look into some possible multi-day tours if they are offered, as well as still consider the rental car option, but it is just seeming kind of risky. So we'll see what happens, but one way or another, then the plan is definitely to see much more of the country, even if I end up going on a tour. But I will explore some places that I didn't see previous visits. Really quick here, then I will do a quick recap of my past couple of weeks, because my last video was from Casablanca, Morocco. That was filmed 2 weeks ago. From there, then I flew direct to Washington, D.C., spent a few days there, and then took a bus up to New York City and spent Thanksgiving there for 5 or 6 days. And then caught a flight, direct flight here from JFK Airport, New York City. So I'm going to head for the Hallgrímska Church is my ultimate destination. Okay, excellent. Now I know where I am. And I'm actually going to go along this way and walk back so that I don't double back. I am filming this clip as just one clip walking around. I am going to make another video, a proper how expensive is Iceland video, in which I will go to some of the hot springs. Now, I have been to the Blue Lagoon previously, showed that in a video 3 years ago. The Blue Lagoon is an amazing experience. It is the kind of ultimate touristy Iceland experience. It is super expensive. It is also a long drive away, like 45 minutes or so out of Reykjavik. But there is a new lagoon, the Sky Lagoon, which is just right over here somewhere. It is only like 3 or 4 kilometers away on the edge of Reykjavik. And it looks really nice as well. So that is the main pedestrian street there. And so I will probably go there tomorrow. And also, there are less touristy local places that you can go with hot tubs and swimming pools. And I went to one yesterday. The cost was 1,000 Icelandic kroner, which is around $7 or $8. So there is some good news in the expensive department of Iceland, which is that the Icelandic kroner has weakened, or the US dollar has strengthened, or a combination of the two. Speaking of which, currency exchange office there. And so as a result of the more advantageous exchange rate, then Iceland has got considerably cheaper, like maybe 15 or 20% cheaper because of the exchange rate. So that is some great news. That takes a little bit of the damage out of the prices, because especially food is really, really expensive. So I showed a couple of dinners there, one of which was a Greek kind of general Mediterranean like fast food takeout place, in which I ate my dinner last night sitting on a chair on the street, because they were only offering takeout, and as you could see, that was not a cheap meal for being Mediterranean fast food of sorts. But there are affordable options. Of course, the grocery stores is one way to save some bucks, and also, especially with accommodation, then there are hostels. I am staying at a hostel for $30 a night. Pretty nice place. I will show it in the next video. And so that is saving me a lot of money versus staying in a hotel. But rental cars will be really, really expensive. The tours are quite expensive. The Blue Lagoon is like around $100, I think, depending on the package that you get. But still, it is worth it. It is a very, very interesting place. And as for myself, I enjoy getting a winter experience, and so that is why I came up here. Also, just because the landscapes and everything are beautiful. It is a very safe, clean country, and quite a contrast to Morocco, where I was, which is also a very, very interesting country, but I was in the mood for something quite different. Okay. I don't know what happened to the skate park. That was going to be my identifying spot for when to turn in, but anyways, I'm going to turn in right here, or maybe right up over here, and then turn around and then give you the more touristy experience walking down the main street, which is right over there. But I thought that I would show some other areas in the process. So there's one option for getting a tour around Reykjavik, take a bus tour. And so another thing that I wanted to talk about here is the currency situation. So as I mentioned, they use the Icelandic kroner, so they do not use the euro currency, which is used in much of Western Europe. France, Germany, Netherlands, Greece, etc. Then they use the euro. Here they have their own currency. Iceland is not part of the European Union. However, it is part of the Schengen zone. And so I've talked about this previously. For travelers, then the Schengen zone is much more relevant than the European Union, because that is the area of open borders between the various countries of Europe. And so I left Spain back in August. On my last day that I was allowed to be in the Schengen zone of Europe, I'm allowed 90 days without a visa, and then you have to stay out for 90 days. And so some people had misunderstandings about how that works. They thought, well, you can stay 90 days and then you just leave and then come back the next day and you get another 90 days. It doesn't work like that. You get 90 days within any 180 days period. So basically half of the year you can be within the Schengen zone of Europe. And it is multiple entry, so you can enter the Schengen area, leave, come back, etc. And you have to keep track of your days and count partial days as a full day. If you arrive 6 p.m. on Monday and leave at 6 a.m. on Friday, then that is still going to be 5 days counted out of your 90 days. So basically I am now starting again another 90-day period in the Schengen area of Europe. Not that I'm planning to spend 90 days straight like I did the last time, but we'll see. I don't have a flight booked out of here yet. I'm going to see how the plans go. Now, another thing that I wanted to talk about is the language of Iceland. It is very difficult to pronounce. Even if somebody tells you how to say a certain word, you can't even really pronounce a lot of them. We just don't have the same sounds, let alone trying to read the written language, even though they use the same alphabet essentially. And so the Icelandic language is a Nordic language. The Nordic countries include basically Iceland, Norway, Sweden, Finland, Denmark. But there is a distinction between Scandinavian countries and Nordic countries. Finnish is not considered Scandinavian, the country or the language. Something smells really good. A drink there. It smelled like hot apple cider, maybe. Getting a bit of the Christmas holiday vibes going on here. Ice skating, hot drinks and street food. All right, so this is the tourist area now. So the Icelandic language is a Nordic language with similarities to Norwegian and Danish, but less so Swedish as I understand it. Now, an interesting thing happened in the past couple of days, which is that I had dinner a couple of days ago, got a lasagna at this restaurant, and afterwards I was talking with one of the guys because I walked up to pay and I heard the guy that was at the counter there speaking with another woman who worked there in Spanish. And so I was a little surprised and asked him, "Where are you from?" So it turned out he was from Venezuela, and the girl that he was talking to was from Sweden, but she spoke good Spanish. And so I ended up talking with both of them for a while, and she was talking about the language, and she was saying she could understand Icelandic pretty well because of her Swedish. But then I met this guy at the hostel where I'm staying, who is also from Sweden, and his ex-wife is Icelandic. He is here visiting his daughter who lives with his ex-wife. He still lives in Sweden. And so I was curious, like, you're from Sweden, ex-wife Icelandic. So when you come here, which language do you speak with the local people? And he speaks English when he comes to Iceland, because according to him, then he said he basically couldn't understand a word of Icelandic based on his Swedish. So I don't understand quite the disparity between the two Swedish people I met, one of whom said they understand Icelandic and one who said not at all. But apparently Icelandic is closer to Norwegian and Danish and less so Swedish, and certainly not at all compared to Finnish, which is closer to Estonian apparently. So I don't know how accurate exactly I got all that, but I think that is the general idea. Now there's one more thing that I wanted to talk about here as we get up to the Hallgrímskirkja church, because I made another video walking the same street when I was here 3 years ago, and that is one reason that I started the video in a different location over there, because I wanted to show something different, but I will end up at the same spot where I started that last video. So this is just a kind of weird, quirky thing about YouTube and posting videos to YouTube, and the randomness of what succeeds and what does not. So as I mentioned, then I spent only 3 days in Iceland on that last trip. So the first video that I made was a how expensive is Iceland video in which I went to the Blue Lagoon. So I recorded a bunch of clips, showed my hostel, and then got a ride out to the Blue Lagoon and showed the town, and recorded like a couple dozen clips or whatever, and edited that video and then posted it. The next video that I posted was of my day tour to the southern part of the country to a spectacular waterfall and the town of Vik and a black sand beach. Really amazing day of exploring. And so that was the second video that I posted. Now, it might have been later that day, or maybe it was the next day, I forget, but it was my last day in Iceland, and I decided kind of last minute, okay, I'll make one more video of me just walking down the street right here, just showing, there we go, the Hallgrímskirkja church. And so it was just like a throwaway video, basically, unedited for the most part, of me just walking down the same street here. And for some reason, that is the video that totally took off. And I think it just passed 1 million views, whereas the other ones didn't do nearly as well. And I have no idea why. It is not a great video. It was cloudy, it was dark, the lighting wasn't good. The thumbnail image is nothing special. And yet, for whatever reason, then that was the video that really took off. So that is just kind of the randomness of YouTube. So that is kind of the fun and frustration of being a YouTuber, is the randomness and the unpredictability, and you just never know what's going to take off, what's going to die and hardly be seen by anyone else ever again. Okay, let's head up here, finish up at the church. Einstein and Tupac. So I will wait to book a flight out of here for a few days or so and see how long I want to stay, see what adventuring is possible here. And then I'm considering heading to Western Europe again for kind of a quick visit before I come back to the US for Christmas. Or maybe something completely different and go to a Caribbean island. So those are a couple of the options for after Iceland, but for now, here I am, and I'm stoked to be here. I'm enjoying the winter weather, and especially excited. Boom, there we go. I'm especially excited to get out into the landscapes of Iceland, out of the city, and experience some winter wonderlands and some just epic scenes that Iceland is so known for, and what makes it really a unique place beyond just visiting Reykjavik and the various hot tubs and things. So the Hallgrímska Church is a Lutheran church, the tallest church in Iceland. Construction began in 1945, but it took 41 years to complete, and so it wasn't fully completed until 1986. And the construction was intended to basically kind of capture and symbolize the landscapes of Iceland, the gray cliffs, something like that. And so today is a Saturday. Let's see if the church is open and if we can finish this off with a view inside the church here. $3.15. A Viking hero, I believe. I forget if... oh, okay, yeah. Leif Erikson, son of Iceland, discoverer of Vinland, the United States of America, to the people of Iceland of the 1000th anniversary of the Althing, AD 1930. So before the church was built. Okay, well, it looks like there's a line to go inside the church. Oh, there's a wedding. Okay, nice timing. It looks like there's a bride and I guess the groom walking out, so that's pretty cool. Let's see what happens here. I guess that is why the line of people, whether they're waiting to go inside the church or else part of the marriage ceremony.
Something's trampled,
I guess this truck is waiting to pick them up. Okay, oh, they just went off to the side. Here comes a bridesmaid. Alright, I think that I will end this video here, but lots more coming from Iceland. See ya.